Welcome back to another episode of After Class Podcast. I think today we're going to focus a little bit on, I feel like the student's mindset as to how studying kind of fits into their overall growth as a person.
Okay.
I think that's important. I think a lot of students, they don't realize that the school system's only set in place, right, to kind of gauge a minimum requirement. Following the minimum requirement is just very limiting to your overall progress, and how we can put ourselves in the right mindset to actually, work a little bit harder and actually prioritize and do the right things. At the same time, I also want to talk a little bit about how parents, they think they're doing the right thing, doing right by the kids, but due to kind of like some of their decision makings, that they're actually hindering or affecting the potential of their children. Firstly, I want to just start our episode off today by understanding how the students think that the school system dictates how smart, how advanced, or how hard you should be working. And I want them to understand that that's all a facade.
Okay.
So let me unpack that a little bit. When they set up a curriculum, right, who dictates right now what content is going to be examined in year 1? What content is going to be examined in year 2? What content is going to be examined in year 7? What content is going to be examined in year 12? Who dictates that right now? It's the NESA, right? Okay. The Department of Education, right? But why should they dictate that? Because at the end of the day, who is mainly benefiting from progress and learning?
The student themselves.
The student themselves, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, I feel like by letting NESA or the department tell you what you should be knowing, that is an incorrect way of approaching this entire process of learning.
Okay.
I think that students forget that they are studying and they're going to school and they're learning the stuff, that it's for themselves and therefore their personal growth. Mm-hmm. They think it's some sort of chore, some sort of task that they have to do for their parents and do for the government, do for the society. Mm-hmm. No, it's absolutely not, right? At the end of the day, you're doing it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, kids are complacent because they feel, oh, I've met my requirement for the year, right?
Yeah.
NESA told me I need to learn up to this. I already know this. I can relax now. Why? Who said that you can't learn more than that?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Especially last week, how we said your end goal is the HSC, right? You don't know how much time it's going to take you to reach that a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
That's why some students start too late. It's because they relied on NESA telling them they need to get to this level in year 9, this level in year 10. And then they hit it. And then all of a sudden, year 11, they're like, oh, now the stakes are higher. Whoops. We didn't align it very well, right? Suddenly you have to learn 3, 4, 5 times the amount of stuff in the last few years. Sorry about that. And now you're burning out and you can't keep up a lot of times. Whereas if you didn't let that kind of baseline dictate how much you would learn in the early years, right? And made the bigger mission to be, how can I just improve myself on a day-to-day basis? Mm-hmm. You might already be learning university level stuff, maybe, by the age of 15. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of these kids, they're getting bottled in, they're getting suppressed.
That's true.
Right? They're getting caged because they're letting the outside dictate who they can be as a person. Mm-hmm. Right? How much they need to study.
Yeah.
Right? Shouldn't it be like you should be studying all the time? Mm-hmm. Because everything that you study is going to be beneficial to you. Mm-hmm. Right? And no one is more important than yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone has to be selfish in that regard, in which you have to take care of yourself first. And only when you're taken care of in terms of IQ, EQ, everything, right? Can you then see, okay, how can I then help the society? How can I impact the society, right?
Right.
Because if you're in poor condition, how are you going to, make an impact?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's really important. Mm-hmm. I had a student, I kind of went off a little bit yesterday in my class because there was this one student that, sometimes decides to show up to class, sometimes when they're not feeling like they don't show up. Sometimes they have to leave early because there's a party that they need to go to or a dinner they need to attend, so they'll be like, oh, I have to leave 5 minutes, 10 minutes early. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be hindering. You shouldn't sacrifice your own personal growth for that stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because this kid decides to not show up to class or decides to leave class early, they're not putting themselves first.
Right.
They're not prioritizing, oh, what's the most important thing in this world right now to me is my growth and how smart I'm becoming, right? And how confident I'm becoming and how it is that I'm making complicated, difficult concepts easy to understand, easy to digest so I can progress. And they've made it all about, oh, well, my school hasn't even done this at school yet. So I don't need to try harder this term in David's class because I will get to it when the school examines it. Do you see the flaw in that thinking, right?
Yeah.
They're letting the school have the power. The school is dictating what you need to know, what you shouldn't know. And that shouldn't be true, right?
Right.
And a lot of the times we made the decision for the students to study it earlier is because we know that if you do it at the pace that the school does it, you just don't have enough time. They don't go into depth, they rush it. You know how it is, right? In year 12, they do like one topic a day sometimes, you know what I mean? Because they're running short on time and they don't give a damn about that.
That's what my brother said.
Yeah.
Their class is behind, so now the teacher's cramming multiple topics in a span of a day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to learn this, do practice, and get ready for the exam?
Yeah, how can you get confident if the stuff you learned today, you're being tested on tomorrow?
Yeah.
What the hell is that about, right? So that's a very serious thing, you know what I mean? And it's because the kids, they put too much trust in the system. But the system doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We care. Proed cares, David cares, Kevin cares. You know why we care, Kevin? Because at the end of the day, we have that responsibility, right? They're entrusting us, the parents and the students are entrusting us. They're giving us the trust that we have their best interest in mind, right? And we don't want to let them down. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if I know that this topic needs to take 5 weeks, 10 weeks before you can perfect it, why would I do it 2 weeks before your exam? And a lot of the kids are like that. They're like, oh, well, my school's not doing it right now, so why I have time. No, you actually don't. This is why we're doing it right now. Why Proed and David decides to teach you this now is you need from now until when your school examines it to already perfect the craft. Because when the school decides to start it, it's already too late.
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
Don't worry about year 1 what you need to learn, year 5 what you need to learn, year 8 what you need to learn. That's the minimum requirement. If you feel like the year 7 stuff is too easy and you can get that done in like a week, what are the other 51 weeks going to be used for then? Are you just going to sit there and wait till next year comes before you start? Why can't you just start?
I think most of us actually fall victim to this. I know myself especially. In year 12, I used to have a long chat with the careers advisor. And at his previous school, not as, high ranking as our school, but he said the students there, like as an example, one of them very interested in chemistry. So he, does his own research, reads all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Started his lab at home.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Like year 9, year 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And then the careers advisor heard of this and then got into contact with like a university.
Yeah.
That kid
Yeah.
finished a uni course
Yeah.
in year 10.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there like, if I didn't, just do the bare minimum that the school
Exactly.
told me,
Yeah.
I could be doing that.
Exactly.
I could be doing something like I'm interested in engineering. I could be like building stuff right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've been sitting there waiting for the next year to roll around
Yeah.
and continuing to follow
Exactly.
what the teachers
What's that about, right?
And like by then I'm in year 12, it's
Exactly.
end of the journey, start of the new one. But yeah, thinking about all the students that are stuck in this mindset,
For sure.
all the potential that they are holding,
Yeah.
that they should realize, but then, just because of the system, they can't.
That's right.
They're just stuck there.
Yeah. What I can say is the stuff that they learn at school, that is important stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The subject matter itself is important. You need to have a basic foundational knowledge on language, on mathematics, on numbers,
Yeah.
right? On science to a degree, right? But why do you have to go at the pace in which someone else dictates? That's the question, right? Because at the end of the day, you're living your life. Right?
Yeah.
Why do you have to live your life on other people's terms? Shouldn't you want to just be the absolute best version as quickly as possible, as early as possible?
I think when you look at people who have achieved in what they do, and you ask yourself like, how did they do that? It's honestly just because they kept on going.
Exactly.
Right? They didn't stop.
Exactly.
Like one of my best friends, his younger brother, super into soccer.
Yeah.
And then he just kept on training and kept on training, kept on playing.
Yeah.
And he's playing with kids like 5 years older than him.
Exactly. Perfect.
But then when you just look at him and you're like, whoa, how did this guy get so good?
Yeah.
It's just because he's he just kept on playing.
Exactly. Think about that. If you're just constantly striving to be the best version of yourself every single day, and you're thinking, like, we're not saying you shouldn't play games or whatever, right? Maybe that is part of the growth. That is part of you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not burning out and not stressing out. But a lot of the times, like if you don't feel like you're actually getting better as a person, then maybe we should focus ourselves on doing things that will actually benefit and improve us, right? Getting to understand how the society works. Yeah. What do people value in the society, right? Why is it that we need to develop these skills, right? How can we help more people, right, during that progress, right? Some people might live 2 lifetimes. As a regular person only lives 1 lifetime. You might learn twice, 3 times the amount of stuff than someone else that they can only learn that much, that 1 life worth of stuff because they let the society dictate how much they can learn or how much they should know. And they just get complacent. Like a lot of my kids, I feel like, that are in class, they come into tutoring for the wrong reasons. They come into tutoring because their friends are here or the parents want them to be here a lot of the times, right? And they can tolerate us because they feel like we're teaching them at a personal level. But at the same time, like their mindset hasn't changed, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, when it comes time for me to ask you, at least, you know, Pro is really good. They can answer my questions when I need to do it because it's the last minute now. My exam is in a couple of weeks, you know what I mean? It's time for me to ask these questions now and I have someone to ask. But like, why? Why couldn't you have asked these questions earlier? Why couldn't you have done it 2 months ago, 2 terms ago, than when we actually did it at tutoring, when we told you that this is the right moment to do it, because otherwise you're not going to have enough time or enough runway, right? So, like, yeah, I think that's really important. Yeah. Once you understand that, then I feel like you will naturally just constantly work. Because you know that every bit of work that you've done, you get absolute maximum benefit out of it. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is what I've been busy with for the last week. All right,
okay.
And I think I've already brought this up with you off camera for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to let the audience know about this as well. And I feel like a lot of the parents that are watching this, I feel like, and you put this question at me as well. You said that you went to an event at your school. They invited you back, right? And you had a chat with one of the parent bodies. And they were saying how they didn't know, they were struggling to find ways to communicate with their children because they wouldn't talk to them or it's hard to communicate with kids of that age. I'll give you an example. And this really bothered me for the last couple of days.
Okay.
One of our students that graduated this year, we are thinking of, converting into a pro-ed tutor. I was having a conversation with them. And they were like, you know what, David, like I already had to fight to come to pro-ed. I knew all the other tutoring places weren't good for me, right? But for some reason, my parents couldn't see that, so I had to fight to come here, okay? And then she gave me like a rundown of her story. I won't go into too much detail, but I'll give everyone like the general idea. From a very early age, the parents would push the student to go to tutoring, which was the general consensus of where everyone was going.
Yeah.
So this student was a relatively smart kid. She went to a very well-ranked school, and as all these parents are, they all kind of part of some sort of community, you know what I mean? Like parents community of that school. And they frequently share information around and then gossip and talk about, how all those different kids are going and all that kind of stuff. And then the general consensus was there's this one tutoring place that all of the kids in our school is going to, so I will need to send my kid there, right? Okay, so this girl, she went to that tutoring place for let's say 1.5, 2 years, right? And her marks just didn't improve, okay? And then there were other kids that did go to that tutoring place that did improve, okay? And then it made it seem like that kid was just not smart and not working hard enough. And the kid even admitted, I was disengaged, it wasn't really working for me, but I didn't really have any desire, I didn't really have any direction. I just did it for the sake of doing it because everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it didn't resonate with me, it didn't drive me, it didn't motivate me, that kind of tutoring formula, that center, right? So therefore, her marks plateaued, if not actually diminished and got worse over time.
Yeah. And
a lot of the times, with these high ranked schools, the energy in the school is just, there's a level of toxicity in that environment. And the reason is because of the competition. You know what I mean? There's too much ego, there's a lot of There's a lot of the kids one-upping themselves. There is competition, and competition is healthy. But a lot of the times, it's kind of like they use their kind of gains, right? Their rank improvements, and they use that opportunity to like bully kids that aren't at their level.
That's
right?
unhealthy.
Yeah, they get teased and then get talk that behind their backs. And some of the really bad some cases, even the parents in their groups are talking about other kids. You know what I'm saying? Saying how those kids aren't up to our kids' level and they shouldn't be at our school and that kind of stuff. So it's like really bad in certain instances. Now, going back to the story, there was a point where this girl was like saying to her friends, like, hey guys, we need to change. I think we need to stand up for ourselves. If we don't feel like what we're currently doing is working, I think we should voice it to our parents and we should tell them about it. And I think this student was relatively on the braver side, so that they went to their parents and like, hey, listen, this is not working. You're wasting your money every single term. I'm not gaining anything from it. As a matter of fact, I'm actually only getting worse, right? I'm losing respect on the street. People think I'm dumb, right? But I think I need to make a change. I need to change the scenery. And I think that student, to an extent, kind of like resisted going back to that tutoring that didn't work for her. So the parents scrambled to find another local tutoring place to calm the situation down, and they so happened to come across us, okay? Parade. So they were like, okay, you know what? In the meantime, maybe you want to try this tutoring place. And it's like, all right, sure, why not? Surely it can't be worse than what I'm going through right now, right? This is like what I've experienced in the last 2 years. Surely that's the rock bottom, right? So like she came to Parade and instantly she was like, dude, I didn't understand tutoring could be like this. And then this student, I remember very clearly, they already did these topics at the other tutoring place. And we were just a little bit behind, maybe like one topic behind. And even though she technically already did that topic in the other place, when she did it again with us, she realized that there was so much stuff that she didn't understand, right? But before, she wasn't able to ask questions and she wasn't able to kind of make her voice heard because the environment was also so much, you keep up. You know what I mean? You fit into our pace. You fit into our ideals. Rather than, oh, how can we support you? How can we, you know what I mean, understand where it is that you're struggling and help you in those areas. Do you know what I'm saying? So this kid then exponentially improved, right? Went from like bottom of the cohort to like top of the cohort within a span of 2 years, right? And even then, even though she was happier, and I think the parents to an extent could see that, when the time came where this another tutoring center became more popular amongst the parents, that parent would still hint, be like, hey, I think you should go to that place now and not come to Parade anymore because all of the good kids from your school are going there, right? And then she's like, why? Why would I go there? This is perfectly fine for me. I'm making a lot of progress. I'm happy. So even then, the parents still thought, right, that they knew what's best and told her to change to another tutoring place. If you get what I'm saying, right? What I personally feel the parents should have done was, at the very beginning, they should have said, hey, listen, what do you need? Like, what is it that you're struggling with? How can we help you find someone, right? Find a tutoring place that actually, like, you know, respects and acknowledges what you need and help deliver that.
Parents have good intentions, but I think they're approaching it the wrong way.
Yeah, they're approaching the wrong way. They're not really asking the kids, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the times I realized after speaking to these kids this week, we can't even help these kids even if they want to be helped in some situations, because like the situation is so unfortunate that they don't even get to choose where they can go in order for them to get the help that they need. They don't even have that choice. Yeah. And then a lot of the scenario, they lose confidence and they lose hope and they have all this anxiety because they think that they're not getting better because it's their own problem. It's their own fault. That's the one part that I feel like I can't get over, is that because by pushing the student to a tutoring center or lessons that aren't benefiting her, but they are benefiting other people, that they think or they get told that you're not getting better because it's your own fault. You have some sort of issue. You're not smart enough, or you're not hardworking enough, or something like that, along those lines. Whereas the truth is so far from that, right? It's just they haven't been able to find a scenario, a teacher that actually care to, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
ask them what it is that they really need.